Best proceed with caution. When did this become Fellowship of the Ring? Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Afternoon Dreams. And continuing with the trend of fully completed creations, this week we're looking at Rid, Echoes of a Lost Bond. A few weeks ago, I watched a trailer for this game called Rid Memories of the Elders, and I thought it looked incredible. And when I found out the trailer I watched was for a sequel to an already very polished game, I was even more excited. Upon playing it, I simply couldn't not review it. I'm really not a fan of platformers, especially 3D platformers, but this game really drew me in, which is saying a lot. I could tell right off the bat that this game was going to be a complete experience, fully immersive, and have a lot of content that was going to take me quite a bit of time to play through. To start off with, the world is currently at war with a powerful dark force, and humanity is really struggling. People used to be connected with the spirits who would have been able to help if they hadn't separated from humanity a very long time ago. Your character is not a soldier, but an explorer, and his brother has sent him to try and reconnect with the spirits to ask for their help. When you make it far up the mountain, you find this guy who can observe and talk to you through a crystal who asks you to complete a ritual to prove your worth. A ritual that hasn't been completed by anyone in a very long time. Completing the ritual takes you all over the mountain, across some tricky challenges and puzzles, but even then, the ritual is only the beginning. And that's as much as I can say about the story without getting into spoilers. The meat of the gameplay is, of course, platforming. You're going to have to run, jump, climb, swim, and parkour your way up the mountain through caverns and across frozen landscapes. Climbing is fairly simple. You can slide down naturally, and you need to jump to gain height, though both of those actions are going to cost you stamina. And if you lose it all, you fall. But you can regain stamina while hanging on a ledge, or by resting on a flat surface. You can also roll and jump to gain some extra distance, and run on walls to get to tough-to-reach areas. But even with all those tricks, this game is hard. Granted, that is coming from someone with very little experience in the greater 3D platforming genre, so take what I have to say with a grain of salt. But this is probably the hardest game I've reviewed thus far. At the very least, you don't have to worry about forgetting how to perform a critical method of traversal because the pause menu has a list of all the different abilities and how to use them. The animations for all the moves you do are really tight and responsive, and for the most part, I didn't have a single issue. With one exception, and that's dropping down from ledges. You see, by pressing circle and holding the right trigger, you're supposed to be able to drop down and hang on a ledge that's directly in front of you. However, since the circle button is also the button for the dodge roll, I had many occasions where I'd be standing on a ledge wanting to drop down, but instead I shoot off the ledge because I used roll instead of drop. I know there are other factors that trigger the drop like the position of the camera, but I found this mechanic to be the least reliable. Especially in this ledge, which took so long for me to do because you can't progress in any other way. That said, after hundreds of attempts, I believe I figured out the secret. Just position yourself only standing on this board, and before you drop down, position the camera at 90 degrees. The wall run was also a bit unresponsive, but I got the hang of it with time. The areas you go through are just beautiful, provided you don't have an issue with cold mountain signs, enchanted caverns, and industrial equipment lying around. Despite the aesthetic being mostly the same inside or outside the mountain, I never got bored of it. Usually it is pretty obvious where you're supposed to go next, but sometimes you will find yourself at a dead end or a branching path. However, if you want a greater exploration challenge, you can turn off the yellow guide lights from the menu. And if you forget something in a previous area, don't worry, when you progress far enough, you'll unlock shortcuts that make backtracking much faster. The puzzles you solve mainly consist of finding all the light cubes in various areas so you can unlock the next route. I don't have much to say about this, just keep your eyes open and be prepared to go a little outside the box with cube placement, though thankfully it never devolves into wandering aimlessly for several minutes having no idea where that last cube is. There are also braziers that you need to light in order to melt ice, and this may sound simple, but it gets a bit more challenging when you consider that holding an item like a torch disables your ability to double jump and climb. So you need to be careful and plan out a way to get from the nearest brazier to the area where you need to light with a limited moveset. Items, including torches and quest items, can be kept in your backpack, along with some notes that you can find scattered about the mountain that contain details about the lore of the world and why it ended up like it did. So, Rid. Overall, a great game. In terms of gameplay, it's one of the highest quality platformers I've played in Dreams. The gameplay is challenging, the story is intriguing, and the puzzles are a lot of fun. I'll be keeping an eye on that sequel, as if it really is as big as the trailer shows, it could become one of my all-time favorites. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the Dreamiverse. And for next time, things are a bit too quiet around here. Let's blow stuff up.